Hey, I'm Aleesha Bake.
I'm Jen Greenfield.
And I'm Jen Tophoney. VO Booth Besties listen to the questions you have.
We find pros in the know to help you learn.
And connect with our amazing VO community. Welcome to VO Booth Besties.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to VO Booth Besties. Like our intro said, we're here to help working voice actors get your most important questions answered by industry pros who know. Each week, we'll have a new topic and a guest speaker who is an expert on that topic. Speaking of which, we want to make sure you are all current on the awesome speakers we have coming up and other exciting opportunities. So we have created an email distro list, and if you'd like to get on that, please send us an email through our boothbesties.com website. Sorry, a little tongue-tied. A quick bit of housekeeping. In order to stay on topic and get as many of your questions answered as we can, we're actually going to keep hand raising turned off, but the chat will remain open. And tonight, AB will be monitoring that. As many of you know, tonight's Clubhouse is going to be a little different. Last week, VOBB announced that we were collaborating with Liz Atherton and CastVoices to offer our first ever audition submission workshop. This was an opportunity to take all the tips and information Liz and Uncle Roy shared in their interviews and put them into practice.
That's right. We sent out a 15-second commercial script for Wendy's. It was for both men and women, 18 and older, any ethnicity. Our specs were simply friendly, conversational, real, and our expectation was that you would give us your two best takes using Liz's advice on making the takes distinctly different. So we received 257 submissions and can proudly say that we listened to every single one, beginning to end, and I'm talking individually. So it was a lot of hours put in. I'm also happy to say that nearly every audition file was labeled correctly. So great job, everybody. Out of the 257, we only received 3 demo submissions. That was really a good odd, according to what I've heard. And before we get ready to hear some of these auditions and have Liz provide feedback, we want you to join in and be your own casting director. So grab your laptop or a piece of paper and a pen, number 1 through 12, and then 3 title columns with a yes, a no, and a short list. Yes, you'd like to listen to take 2. No, just not a good fit. And then after hearing both takes, would you shortlist them? Make sense? Back to you, NJ.
All right, before we begin, it is very important that we set some ground rules. All the audio played tonight is completely anonymous. We will not say who the voice is. If you know it's your voice, no need to comment. If you recognize a person's voice, no need to comment. We will play some examples to help us all learn and in no way approach this as anything other than professional and from a place of education. We realized that if you don't have actual examples of audio and auditions that may not meet expectations, then it's hard to learn. And then conversely, we want you to hear auditions that really rise above the rest and be able to tell the difference. Okay, JT.
We wanted to share some of our top takeaways because this wasn't just a learning experience for you, but for us too. I've never had an opportunity to listen to auditions that I was up against. And I think if I had, especially in the early going, it would have made a big difference in my performance. So we want to share with you what we learned. And I'm going to start by speaking to studio space and editing. For example, in our comments, we mentioned mic placement, sound treatment, and room noise. We had quite a few with echoes or hums, and that was obvious. For a lot of casting directors or agents, that's going to be a thumbs down. We heard some that sounded hollow. People sounded like they were eating their mics, and what I mean by that is like right on top of them and just way too close. Pops and clicks that can be dramatically decreased by changing your proximity to the mic. So we'll talk about some of those things, and it's just something you can listen to in the future. And because we are providing feedback on every single audition and listen to every one of the most obvious things was removing all your breaths. So a lot of you played engineer and spliced your copy together. And as Dan Friedman told us on Monday, our job is just to do the recording. If you get booked for the job, there's somebody on the other end who's going to take care of the editing. If you're finding that you need to do a lot of editing, it probably needs that you need to work on your space or your mic placement or your breathing technique. What stood out most of all when you edited your silence, edited your breath with silence, was that the pauses became kind of unnatural and just caused your read to drag.
Yeah. So can you play an example of an audio submission, an audition that did remove breaths and kind of has that lag?
Not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's,
Yeah, you could hear where you're like, come on, breathe. And then they never did. There's just that little extra pause. When you remove more breaths, you actually cause yourself to have to do one more step in closing up those gaps a little bit. Okay, now how about you speak to us about, or give us an example of one where they spliced the copy, sliced the audio.
At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family.
Yeah, that's a great example. There literally was no space. This individual was stacking the audio just bam, bam, bam. And when you send that in, you're not giving the engineer any room to fix it. You've just closed that gap so much. All right, JT, do you want to kind of speak to the hollow space? Kind of reiterate that, and then give us an example.
Sure. So if the room sounds, if you haven't done your sound treatment, if you're not in a booth or you haven't made your fort with PVC pipe and moving blankets, that sound is just going to bounce around the room and it's going to give you a really hollow sound. Sometimes on top of that hollowness, you're going to have some room noise, some hissing in the background, and some simple sound treatment. And there's a ton of information online, if you just Google it, that will eliminate that hollow space. And here's what we were talking about with that.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that?
So compared to some of the other recordings that you heard, and I don't know if Clubhouse really translates that well, it just sounded very open and kind of cave-like.
I like that word, cave-like. That's a perfect way to describe it. Okay, so my two takeaway topics are the script itself and then how we viewed the two takes. I'll be quick. The script was a family-friendly read. Without overanalyzing it, you can see that Wendy's wants you to know that they focus on quality and have healthy options for the whole family. What we found happening throughout many of the submissions was then when you got to the line, what even is that? A lot of you went to a place of almost disgust. And then, unfortunately, it kind of stayed there. For example, what even is that at Wendy's? And it kind of stayed with this really pressed your stomach. You could just feel kind of it all just like you were mad and angry and disgusted, and kind of stayed there with pushing the air out. This line, though you would have been most likely corrected in your session, was meant to be a quick, light kind of speech bubble thought. What even is that? Right? So a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker. Now, when it came to two takes, several things happened. And again, I'll be brief. The first was that the phrasing and punctuation in the scripts led to 100% predictability. Okay? If you don't know, phrasing is how the words are connected together. So when the script said, with some chains, comma, it's all about the hype, period. The food, ... not so much. Nearly every single person read their take exactly like that, almost to a fault. And now this isn't a right or wrong situation. I'm just explaining. Unless you had an accent or yelled at us, and some of you did, kind of went to that announcer place, we knew exactly what was coming. So phrasing and punctuality equals predictability.
Do you want me to play an example of that?
Oh, are we there yet? Yes, please do
But
that. I'm
that's
sorry.
different. But yeah, this is
Please.
what we were talking about with the predictability. Let me find it here.
Not so much. What even is that?
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 Excellent. Excellent example. Thank you for pulling that up. So you can see, although you're following the script, there just really was no phrasing differentiation. Virtually no one dropped the punctuation to try to give us something different. Okay, let me keep going. When it came to the second take, 3 things happened. You did the same read, only exaggerated the words and added vocal effects. So the not so much, or what even is that? Can you give us an example, JT?
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. Ugh, what even is that?
Okay, so same voice, same style as the first, but just kind of adding vocal effects. For us, as we were going through and trying to kind of determine what made a different second take, that didn't really do it for us, but it was a very common approach. The second thing that happened with the second take is you either raised or lowered your voice. And what I mean by that is you started in one place and then maybe you went up here, or you started in this place and you went down here. Now, I want JT to give an example of this real quick.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. The food, not so much.
You can see how it was literally, I'm going to say it again, phrasing, punctuation equaled predictability. So regardless of changing where you were in your, whether you were in your head voice or in your chest voice, different tone, it was still the same read. Now, to be fair, there were some people who did a good job of changing into maybe going into a lower register or going into an upper register, but the difference was their approach, the intention, the audience they were speaking to clearly shifted. And you kind of felt that energy. I'm going to use the word vibe. You kind of felt a different vibe. You're like, okay, we're still kind of doing the same thing, and you're just kind of going up and down. But there was enough of a change in vibe that you're like, oh, cool. It sounds like they're talking to somebody else, a little bit different energy. Okay, the last thing that we found people did in trying to do a second take was putting on an accent or a character voice. Now, sometimes it landed, but usually it did not. So can you give an example, JT?
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that?
Okay, so again, this is all learning. This is all professional. We are not judging. We are not doing anything but trying to hear and listen and absorb and go, maybe did I do that? Or maybe I didn't do that. Great. Or I might have done that. Let me try to do something differently next time. So regardless, when I talk about phrasing and punctuation equal predictability, ultimately we found probably 98% of the reads we listened to, the second take was pretty much the same as the first. Okay, let's get to listening and learning. We have the amazing, the fabulous, the wonderful CastVoices founder and casting director, Liz Atherton, joining us today to provide live feedback. I think we're going to go for 12. We have 12 anonymous to-take auditions. Thanks for joining us, Liz. Are you ready for this?
You crack me up. I'm just Liz. But
You were born
thank you. I'm ready. Can I offer just a couple of observations to what y'all were just saying
Of course.
before we get started?
Yeah.
In today's market, to piggyback on what you girls were talking about in delivery, in today's market, after your technical mastery, and it must be mastery, the next thing you are is an actor. And you need to remember that. You can't just say words. And the whole audition itself is an art unto a difference than an actual read. And I think because you got to punch and catch attention, and y'all did beautifully sharing that. And just as an interesting observation, that last example you shared, where the second one sounded like Clark Kent from Superman, I liked it. So even though you were using it as an example of not what to do, here's just that one time where sometimes you can like what somebody else doesn't for completely different reasons. To me, he sounded like Clark Kent, and I'm like, oh, I get it. It was just a very different character. So just thought, okay, y'all tell
Well,
me what I'm ready to
I
do.
will.
Go.
I want to tie onto that really fast because Liz, you told us this was going to be eye-opening, and holy moly, it was. And even between the three of us, we had to really set some criteria for what we felt a different second take was, because you're right, this is so subjective. And where I went through and I'm like, no, no, no. Aleesha was like, well, I liked that one, and that one did so really it's in the listener's, perception, right?
It's in the ear of the beholder for her, for sure. I'm going to do a little housekeeping for you guys because I always do this in my rooms. Everybody in this room, I know I'm here and I'm a guest, but you guys really should all, if you aren't a member of VO Booth Besties House or Clubhouse, you should go absolutely join it. What these three young ladies are doing is remarkable. I'm glad to be part of their vision because it aligns with me very much so. I am, if you don't know me, you should follow me on Facebook. It's who I am. But I say this because I'm kind of irreverent there. But I want you to follow Jen and Aleesha, and I know they go by NJ, JT, and AB. I can't get on board with that, girls. I guess I'm an old mom. You're Jen, and Aleesha to me. That beautiful girls, what you are doing is beautiful for the industry. I love to be part of it. And so you all follow all of those girls too, because you will learn and you will elevate your career. And with that, I hand over the mic.
All right, JT, let's get going. Let's start playing some live auditions.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food? Not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
So, am I supposed to jump in here, Jen?
Yep, just give us a minute or two of thought on sound, takes, audio. It's all you.
You got it. So, Room, that was an excellent audition, in my opinion. Not only was her delivery clear, her two takes were very different. In the first take, I was hearing someone maybe in their 20s. That's what I was hearing. And in the second take, maybe somebody, I don't know, too mature or in their late 30s. I don't know. But very different takes. I thought her pace was on point. And as a casting director, unless I've been tasked with the job to pick the talent, which that would make me a producer, my job is to narrow the field. She would absolutely make it to the producer to listen to, in my opinion. What do y'all think?
Excellent. No, that's all we need for right now. A reminder for everyone in the audience: be a casting director. Make a note to yourself, because this will be on replay, so you will have the option to go back and listen. Would you have listened to her second take based on her first read? Would you have shortlisted her? So let's see kind of what you guys decide for yourself as we go along. All right, JT, let's keep going.
Okay, and just real quick, this is where the pen and paper comes in. That was number 1. We're playing, we hope, 12. So make your notes and keep track, and we'll ask you to put your top picks in the chat at the end. Number 2.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
So it's a good thing I liked his first read because his second read to me was just a repeat of the first. So I didn't get a sense of difference. That said, I liked his read. It was a good pace. His mic was a little loud for me. I mean, that could be a clubhouse or my earbud things. Who knows? It would have stood out in a good way because the sound quality was good. But if I were grading him on a second chance at that first impression, he'd fail. But I do like his first read, so for that alone, he would go to producers.
All right, JT, let's go to number 3.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
Ba-dum-bum. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a great example of two completely different reads. I would have, and I don't know which of her accents is legit, but they both sound interesting to me. My advice to her, if she's listening, is that I would have put the closer to the American accent first, only because Wendy's is an American chain. I think, and that's my guess. But I love the accent. I thought the read and the pace was good. The sound and tonal quality was good. Again, I think y'all are giving me all real good ones, and I'm supposed to pick the things that are good or not about them. But I bet we're all in agreement. Her second read and her first read were two very different reads. I was very impressed, and I would bet you that she would make close to the top. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that she actually is from New Zealand. So the first read is authentic her, and then the second is her American read.
Well, she should be working.
Yeah,
she's
we
not.
thought she did it.
she's a bookable talent, 100%.
Absolutely. All right. So here is number 4.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
Oh, holy schmoly. I didn't want to say schmoly, but wow. I'm so impressed. Okay, so first of all, in his first read, I'm hearing Dick Tracy, and I love that kind of a nuanced, almost announcery, but catchy enough. I really liked it. In his second read, I thought he was going to come in as the Dick Tracy bad guy that's big and tough. Instead, he went Texan, which was still just as good. But I loved it. And again, that's a great character change. If I were in the creatives listening to that, I would have heard that second read and thought, I've got myself an ad campaign around that voice. That's what I would think.
I would have to agree. I love his second take because I think it's just fun enough to play in a Southern market. All right, on to our next. Yeah.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
Okay, so if this young lady is in the room, my deepest apologies, but I hope you'll take what I have to say with heart and love. Um, First of all, your sound quality is poor. At least that's what I'm hearing. You are not crisp on your mic. That's also what I'm hearing. It feels almost like there's a muffling between you and the mic. Uh, I would I would not have listened really past just a few seconds on this one. Case in point, at the ones we've been listening to, I already have some sound quality choices. And if I had listened to 250 something of them, I would have plenty of choices that this would be an easy no. Now, your first read was solid. Your second read was just a reiteration of your first read. But I never would have heard either one of them because your sound quality to me was poor.
Okay. So again, I'm not sure how much of this is translating well through Clubhouse, but yes, there is some room noise and a little bit of hum in the back of that one. So on to our next one.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good.
Okay, back up off the mic. I feel like you're just right on the mic for the delivery. And your second read was exactly to me as the first. Guys, I want to reiterate, and I know y'all, this is all part of the learning process. This second read, if you even get them to listen to it, which is if you're going to do a second read, always slate. I know why we're not slating now, but slate 2 takes so they know to hear that second read. And if you're going to do something like an accent, but your first read is non-accent, depending on where you are, pop the other accent as the slate so they know to listen. They're going to hear a little bit of New Zealand, and then you're going to speak in American or North American, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, I heard," and maybe it just will prompt them to go ahead and listen. But don't waste that opportunity to be in the ear of a casting director by just giving the same thing as you gave the first time. Really, you've heard some good examples here that will help you do some major bookings. I think you'll be surprised.
All right. And it looks like we're at the half hour, so let's do a quick room reset. If you've just joined us, we are VO Booth Besties. Our goal is to help working voice actors get their most important questions answered by industry pros who know. Tonight, we're joined by Liz Atherton, and she's providing live feedback on some auditions from our recent audition submission workshop. Thanks for joining us, and let's get back to the interview. Back to you, NJ.
Great. So, how's everyone doing? Are you realizing, like us, how difficult and subjective casting is? Are you leaning towards a favorite thus far? So, Liz, you ready to keep going?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do it.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. The healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good.
So I like her read. I think there were some editing concerns where she edited things together, and you could tell they were edited together. Me, for me as the audition, that would probably still go through at the level that she was. However, I'm not the hiring person. I'm the weeder. I'm the filter. The next person that's listening might just turn them off. So try not to have that. I know we all use the word conversational a great deal, but I want to give you a different meaning to it, or maybe a smoothness. Y'all make these deliveries smooth as milk or whatever. I'm terrible with analogies, but anyway, make them smooth. Uh, you know, go practice them on somebody. That's what you're doing. You're trying to sell. Yeah, that's what I am with her.
So on to our next.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good.
I mean, what a voice, in my opinion. I mean, that voice will always stand out in an audition anywhere. So here is an example of a different dramatic read as opposed to a different voice. I did hear some difference between those two reads. However, he had me at the first word because he's so unique. And I want, if when you all go back through your replays, he read his interpretation of those words, aside from the fact that he has this lovely voice. He read it differently. He stood out. He just punched different words, and that makes you stand out. So even if his voice had been vanilla, he still would have stood out because he had a different dramatic prose on it. If I were grading first read to second read, while it was different, I still wouldn't say it was different enough to make a difference. But here's a gentleman that probably doesn't need to do a second read. I mean, a second take. It's always a good chance if you can, but where do you go with that voice?
And I'd like to speak to that really quick, Liz, for you to count, because one of the things we talked about when we tried to keep it really, I say somewhat random. We wanted to have just a variety, but it also speaks to, and I'm curious how you'll answer this, when it comes to casting, how an accent or a voice might regionalize a spot, and if that influences you.
It is not so much anymore, I don't think, because we're such a global, community now. Post-pandemic, we talk all over the world. Things have changed. Now, that said, there are auditions where they specify a region or they specify an accent, and if they do that, then it's real important. I think that you don't have as good a chance to get them, perhaps, if you speak in an accent, especially if it's like Whataburger, which is Texas based, or something like that. Chances are they might not go for an accent. Jen, it really is breakdown by breakdown, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, because we were like, oh, we heard some, like the guy earlier who did the Dick Tracy read and then really went into the Southern accent. And although very different reads, you really hit the nail on the head when you said he planted a seed. Oh, we could use that voice for something else. And so there was that opportunity there, so.
100%, 100%. I see where you're going with this. Yes, of course. It's got to be really good. I mean, and his was really good. And just like this guy, I don't know that this current read, I don't know how he, and I mean this genuinely, how he could speak so different from that. I mean, he's just in such a deep register. I would think any kind of tightening to raise the pitch or something would sound like that. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say he's a one-trick pony, but he's got a good trick if he is.
We're fans for sure. All right, JT, let's keep going.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good.
Okay. Clearly, I think this person has been doing voiceover for some time. Sound quality wasn't great for me, but again, I'm just going to say that maybe that would not have kept me from moving her forward. She ran through that stuff I think you all need to remember to love your food that you're talking about. Wendy's, love Wendy's. And Wendy's, not so much. I love my Wendy's. And in her case, I felt like she just, Wendy's, not so much. I got it. But I'm not trying to knock her. I'm just saying she just ran through it, and it didn't feel like it had enough, I don't know, realness to it, dramatic punch, something. And it was very fast. And there was not enough breaks between take one and take two.
So this is our final audition for this portion of our listening. This is number 12.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers, healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers and healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
Okay, solid read. Definitely going to producers. I actually, even though the two reads were quote unquote dramatically very close, I did hear a different voice in that second read. And I don't know, maybe a more mature voice. I really like that read. I think it was hedging on announcery, hedging on it, hinting close to it, as opposed to a more warm and friendly. He just kind of was punching through it. But I also know that I could put that voice on anything Wendy's and it would sell.
One of the things you mentioned, and I want to speak to it really quick, and JT can also speak to it because she had to do a little bit of editing for us. Two things is, one, you made the comment about space between takes, and one of the things that we found is that people would leave, like, it felt like an eternity before their first read, and then left an equal amount of eternity until they would get to their second read. Do you want to speak to how we kind of need to keep it moving?
Okay, listen, in the world of TikTok, and that's where we live now, you've got my attention span for 3 to 6 seconds. Don't waste it with nothingness. Because to me, if I send nothingness, and I've had that happen a lot. Everybody's wondering, is there something wrong? Is it there? And it's uncomfortable. You just need a beat. I'm Liz Atherton. Take one. Or don't do that. 2 takes. Here we go. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Beat. Second take. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Just don't, you want to keep their attention. Don't waste it with pauses or significant pauses. Just a good beat. But do take that beat, but just a good beat will do.
Okay, and the next thing, JT, I would like you to talk to while we get the final 2 audio loaded is people who ran long. You want to talk about, because you did a lot of feedback on that.
I did. I've been in so many sessions. If you're doing a 6-second tag, you've got 6 seconds or less because they need room for music. They need room for sound effects. In my opinion, if you could bring it in at 14, that was awesome. If you hit 15, fantastic. I made a lot of comments about just watch your pace, watch your timing. It is a 15. This was actually a longer piece of copy. I edited it down, I read it myself, and it was a comfortable 15. So we did have some people who just really took their time with it and went as long as 23 seconds, and that's just not going to fly. Like right off the bat, your pace is going to get you bumped. So you do want to take a little bit more time. And I see in the comments, you're right. I just went in to look, and that was 10.
Do you want to do it, or you want me to?
Nope, I got it.
Okay, bye.
Because I happen to be there. Don't hang up.
I know, I said bye. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong.
It freaked me right out. Okay, here's the first of the last 2.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's. Fast, fresh, good.
I liked her voice. She's kind of a crossover between a valley girl and a stoner. You know, she's just a little laid back while she read. And I think that's a different read than many of that I've been hearing in terms of two takes. I don't think her second take was remarkable enough to be, graded, but that's okay. Her first take was good. She was a little loud on the mic for me, but again, I would push that forward to production to hear.
All right, great. So let's do number 12, JT.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good. With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
How interesting. I wonder if this guy's primary voice is his first one. And if so, I would tell him to lose that one. And his second read, it was, to me, 10 times better than his first. His first, it wasn't crisp enough for me. But that second one, when he dropped into what I would consider his sexy voice, but here's the thing. If I was listening for two takes, I would not have stayed long enough with the first read to hear that magnificent second read. So I don't know where his sweet spot is, but if he's listening, your sweet spot is that second read, 100%.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Okay, so, AB, I'm sorry. I'm stepping on your line. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Yay, you're here.
You're getting me on my laptop, Mike, but it is what it is. All right. So this has been so amazing. I'm seeing so many awesome comments in the chat. We really appreciate you, Liz, and your time to provide this feedback. And we are so grateful to the audience for participating. We're not done yet, though. We're going to play something for you. But in the meantime, if you have questions for Liz, we have time. So feel free to drop those questions in the chat. And then in what we're going to play is, just for fun, NJ and JT and I decided to pick our personal favorite male and female voice or act in the producer role and go ahead and create the Wendy's spot. JT put it all together. I believe NJ helped. I was the cheerleader. So let's find out if you picked who we picked.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
And here is our second.
With some chains, it's all about the hype. The food, not so much. What even is that? At Wendy's, we put quality first, not flash. Premium Angus beef in our burgers. Healthy options for the whole family. Wendy's, fast, fresh, good.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm sorry. Jen, now I know why you said very, very interesting.
Exactly. So for everyone in the audience, we in fact picked number 11 and number 12 for you. And I will be honest as well. Interestingly enough, we had decided on a completely different actor. And Liz, you're going to know exactly where we were at. And as soon as we laid the tracks, it made it vanilla, where it was somewhat compelling in the audition, but as soon as we started setting it to the music, I was like, oh, that
okay. Look,
it kind of sounds boring.
You just made my point exactly about there is the art of the audition, which is different than what you're going to do in session. And the quicker You guys can get really good at the art of your audition. Remember, your goal is to get my attention. That's what your goal is. Get my attention. And then you're not just mine, but you got to get mine in order to get to production. And Jen, that's why you can't take, I mean, people are always worried about in their auditions, someone's going to lift their voice. Here's a good reason that doesn't happen, for the very reason you just said.
Yep. You got it 100%. So this was super enlightening. I mean, 1,000%. We could also see too, and if you guys haven't noticed, as our assistant casting directors in the audience, you can understand now when, or I hope you can, we certainly could, when people like Liz, when other casting directors say they know within 3 to 5 seconds, this is that example. You know, I mean, we just listened to 12 auditions, and I bet some of you were like, you know, that there were a lot of very quick judgments. And because we made a commitment to you guys that we were going to listen to both takes all the way through and provide feedback, it was actually very hard because, like Liz said, most of them we'd have been like, no, just from Mike or just hearing the pops or just the audio, your studio space, we wouldn't even have listened. But we made that commitment to you guys. But that's how important it is. That first impression, I mean, 3 to 5 seconds in. And to what Liz said earlier about we got to keep the pace going. If that 3 to 5 seconds is just room tone and you haven't started yet, we don't know if you're ever going to start. So, you know, the instinct may be to just pass and keep going. So, Liz, do you have any additional Lizdom? You are so good at it and you bring everything together so perfectly.
Well,
yeah, your experience, this process, it'd be great.
Well, I think what is, I'm sure, eye-opening to you girls, as you just shared to the room, is indeed these decisions, these qualifiers, whether or not I'm going to continue listening or I'm going to put you in the short list, whatever the list that goes to production. You might there's things that can be fixed. There are things that you can do right from the get-go, and that's your sound quality and no pauses and just keeping on point. I would encourage you to take every audition class you can. And just because you'll see now, I mean, I love the example at the end where you put it to music, how that makes a difference. And so you really have to come in and punch hard and do well. But other than that, from the ones I heard, they were all pretty good. We had a couple of sound issues and stuff, but imagine these girls listening to 250 something of these and and giving feedback to everybody. That was a massive undertaking. Bravo again to you girls. Everybody in the room, you should be following these ladies. They are bringing you really, really good content.
Well, we appreciate that so much. And to everyone in the audience, please take a breath. We worked, I just cannot tell you how hard we did on trying to compile feedback for you guys. So please be patient with us. Give us a day or two. And I promise we will get your feedback to you either through an email or through CastVoices. And if you follow us on social media, please make sure you follow us on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And we will make sure to post updates when that feedback is available. And, guys, thank you for just participating. We really weren't even sure what kind of activity we would get with this. And so we had no expectation, but 257 with only auditions with only 3 demos. We actually, again, because it was as much of a learning experience for us as well. No, we are not planning on becoming casting directors anytime soon. We'll leave that to Liz. And also, if you guys have time to connect with Liz, but also let her know how your experience on CastVoices was, how it works. We're always looking for feedback and we want to make sure everything's great. So who's next? JT, over to you.
All right. Before I wrap things up, AB, was there any comment or question from the chat that you want to add in?
So actually, someone just asked, could you expand on the demos comment? And I think some people might think of their audition as a demo. So to be clear, those people submitted a commercial reel, like a demo reel, versus doing a custom audition where they read the script. And sometimes people will do that. They think it's a good idea when they don't have time to put in an audition. It's not. Unless someone specifically asks for your demo, do not just submit. Liz, I think you can agree with me there. Do not just submit your demo.
No, I mean, one time I got a demo that was in Japanese, I think, or a language. I'm like, what is this? Anyway, yes, no, do not submit a demo. Always submit a custom audition, 100%.
Yeah. And somebody else asked, for those who aren't watching the chat, how many submissions did you get? We were at 257, right, Jen?
Yep.
Okay. And then, Liz, I'm curious for your feedback on this as well. Jen already answered, but so in commercial work, we leave breaths in always, sometimes, never. What is your thought on that?
If it's an audition, I don't think you should spend a lot of your time editing out breaths. If something's obvious, then yes, but I'm listening for tonal quality, delivery. I'm not necessarily listening for technical perfection. And I think once you start editing out breaths like that, it almost feels odd to be listening because remember, we're all about conversational and we hear ourselves breathe. We may not make notice of it, but we do. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time editing that to perfection.
Exactly. We breathe when we talk. It's normal. And you don't think about it when you're listening to someone have a conversation. But then you get editing and you're like, oh, I got to cut all those breaths out. And yeah, we do not cut all the breaths out. Let's see. Someone had a really great comment. Martin Faraday said, here's a secret. Stop avoiding commercials on TV and the radio. Don't flip the channel. As a voiceover talent, we need to dial in our ears, our producer gut to commercials when we hear and start to figure out when commercials are working and why, and when they aren't working and why. And I agree with Martin 100%. And I think it's really important that we don't just listen to radio commercials because a lot of local radio commercials are produced by the on-air talent really quickly. They don't really put a lot of thought into it. I find it very eye-opening to listen to TV commercials, and that's kind of hard to do when all you do is streaming. So go find some commercials and listen to them. Don't flip the channel.
Martin's a really good guy. You all should maybe invite him to speak on sometimes. He's really good at help people with their sweet spot. Just FYI.
Note to self: Martin goes on the list.
Before we go, Liz, this is something, I don't know if nobody mentioned it, but I think it's a really fair point because it's something the three of us talked about as we went through this process. Does it behoove an actor if they just do not have a second take in them? Like they're like, this is me, this is it, and this is how I interpreted the script, and this is the best delivery I have. It's not a have to do 2 takes, but if you don't have to, just kick butt with 1. Would you agree with that or disagree?
No, I would totally agree with that. It's if you have a chance to give a second take, give a second take. But your sweet spot, it's so interesting that the guy picked. Well, anyway, your sweet spot should go first, no matter whatever that is. But if you don't have a good second take, just don't. Don't mess up their impression of you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, JT, we did it. We rocked it. You did a wonderful job on the sound. Thank you so much for doing that. It sounded amazing.
Can I say one more thing before you close it all up and tie it with a bow?
Of course.
I was just figuring out my mic earlier, and I don't know if you mentioned that we'll announce on LinkedIn when we have the submissions all ready for you to read. So be watching for LinkedIn.
Aside from following all three of us individually on LinkedIn, we now have a VO Booth Besties profile on LinkedIn as well. So follow us there. We would love to have you. And don't forget that we have grown to 2 nights a week, so you can now join us on Mondays and Thursdays, same time, same place. This coming Monday, we have the incredible Dave Fenoy joining us to talk VO and video games and all the things that Dave is just awesome at. And Frankly, I don't care what Dave is talking about. I just want to hear his voice. I could sit and listen to him for an hour easy. You won't want to miss it. And to keep the conversation going, be sure to connect with each of us on LinkedIn, with VOBB on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you want to hear replays of tonight's episode or any previous episode, you can listen to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts or on our website, boothbesties.com. There is an entire podcast page. Thank you, Liz, for being here. Thank all of you for being here tonight. And this was just an incredible experience. Thank you so much. Good night.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of VO Booth Besties.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Well, pretty much anywhere they're playing podcasts.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook so we can keep the conversation going.
VO Booth Besties. Yeah, it's a thing.